How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of Let's Build Twitter. We're on episode 80, and before we get into what we're actually working on today, I just want to go ahead and give you guys a quick update. As you all have seen, we are uploading a couple of leak code videos every single week. That does not mean this series is going anywhere. I actually want to go ahead and still upload approximately the same amount of content for the Let's Build Twitter series every single week. So now, instead of targeting that 10 to 15 minute video for Let's Build Twitter, I'm actually going to be targeting about 20 to 30 minute videos for Let's Build Twitter. So you should be getting about the same amount of content just inside of one video. I'm just trying to pump out some videos, that way I can get things going, and of course try to grow my channel more and more. That way eventually maybe one day we can spin up AWS resources and afford to actually do this as a job. So with that being said, let's hop straight into what we're actually working on today. And in this episode, we set up the landing page that users navigate to whenever they are not signed in. First, we set up the register mode to be toggled on and off with a button, and then we set up the structure of the landing page using our JSX and CSS grid with media queries to get the same effect as Twitter. Then we wrap it up by working on the structure of the right side of the landing page, which is going to include all of the buttons, the text for signing up and signing in. As always, I'm Ethan on Koder, and let's hop straight into the development. Previously, we finished up the entire registration flow, and let's go ahead and get rid of this. But we did have one little issue with one of our dispatchers being called twice. We can actually fix up that bug. So what we're going to want to go do is go into our register form 6. So go into our features, our components, and then go into forms, register form 6. And what we can do is, if we're logged in, we can go ahead and add a return statement here. We're going to go ahead and return an arrow function that just does nothing. And this should go ahead and prevent us from double calling that, and save. And now that is one of our bugs fixed. What I'd really like to do throughout the rest of these next few episodes is go through and get our landing page set up and make it so that we can go ahead, open up a register form, open up our login form, and kind of get through all of that stuff. So to do that, we're going to have to go ahead and do a couple of things. Firstly, we need to go back into our register modal, and we need to go ahead and open it up. And at the top of our register modal, we need to go ahead and make a new interface called register modal props. And then inside this interface, we're going to go ahead and need a toggle modal method or function, whatever we want to call it. And this is going to allow us to open and close this. So we're going to go ahead and say interface, and we're just going to say register modal props. And this is just going to have a toggle modal, like so. And this is going to be a void, or we could do like this. It doesn't really matter how we do it. Void. Now inside of our step button clicked, we're going to want to add a button that says if we are on state.step1. So state.step equal to 1. We want to go ahead and call toggle modal. But we also need to go ahead and add it up here first. We'll go ahead and say add it here, and we'll say register modal bucket type props here. And then we'll go ahead and pull this in, toggle modal. And here we can go ahead and say, okay, if we toggle the modal on step 1, we want to go ahead and call this toggle modal, which will basically just end up turning off the modal or opening or closing the modal basically. So if our modal is open, we're on step number 1, we hit the X, we want to go ahead and close out of it, and we can go ahead and save. And this is going to break a few things. That is perfectly fine. We'll fix that in a second. And let's go ahead and open up our landing page to go about fixing this. So inside of our pages and then landing.tsx, as you can see, we have an error here because we are not passing in that property. So we're going to go ahead and bring in our state. So I'm going to say use state. And then we need a state at the top of this. We're going to call this, we're going to call this const, and we'll go ahead and call it register and set register. Like so. This is going to equal to use state. And this will be a Boolean. And then here we're going to set this to false. So it's going to be closed by default. And then our const toggle. And I'm going to call this toggle register because I think we need to call it that anyway. But this is going to be an arrow function. And what this will go ahead and do is it's going to say set register. And this will be equal to not register. And now we need to go ahead and pass this down to our register modal. So we're going to go ahead and say that the toggle modal button is going to be equal to toggle register. All right. So now whenever if I could spell toggle register, right? Whenever we hit it, it's going to call this and set register as something else. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and say register question mark. So if register is equal to true, we want to go ahead and actually display this register modal. So let's go ahead and copy this and put it here. So if it's true, we want to do that. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and say no, we don't want to display anything. And for the time being, we're just going to have a button with an on click on it, on click equal to, and then we're just going to call toggle register. So whenever we click it, it'll toggle the register, and we'll just say register here or something. This is just temporary. So now theoretically this should be fixed up. If we do come back into our HTML, we should see that we have our blank page. If we hit register here, it pops up. If we click this, it should go away. So now we can open and close our register modal just as we should. We want to go ahead and fix up a couple things in here, I believe, or actually no, we're all good for here. Now we need to go ahead and fix some things up to go ahead and actually allow for our homepage or our landing page, whatever you want to call it, to look like Twitter's. So again, we're going to keep the register modal at the top, and then we're going to go ahead and have a new div with a class name equal to, and we're going to call this landing dash layout. So if we open up the landing page, and I think I have an image of it, one moment. The home page of Twitter is made up of basically two sections, the top section here, and then the bottom section of the footer. And then the top section is also split up into two parts, the left and the right, and then it also makes some changes and things like that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set up a top section, a bottom section, and then a left and right top, and then kind of fill it out from there. So like we said, we're going to have the landing layout, which is going to hold all of the information. Then we'll have a div class name, and this is going to be landing dash top dash left. So as you can imagine, this is going to be this top left area, and this is also going to have a background of blue. And then we're going to have a div with a class name equal to, and this is going to be landing dash top dash right. And you can probably imagine this is going to be this top right area, and this is actually where we put this button for the time being. Again, this button is pretty temporary. We'll probably change it later because we want to style it to look better, but it is what it is. And then finally, we'll have a div class name, and this is going to be equal to landing dash bottom, and this is going to be that bottom footing area. So go ahead and close up that div and save, and we can also do this. If we wanted to put some placeholder data here, we could. I'm not that concerned about it, but again, we have our top area, our bottom area. This is top left, top right, and then bottom. And if we come in here, you're not going to really see anything currently. It still looks the same as it did. So we need to go ahead and add a little bit of styling. So to do that, what we're going to want to go ahead and do is we're going to want to open up the landing.css. So let's open up the landing.css. And as you see, we already have our home container. This is what we always have. And what we're going to want to do first, we're going to want a landing dash layout. So we're going to do our landing layout class, and our width is going to be 100%. Our overflow Y is going to be scroll, because we want to be able to kind of have it so it can scroll up and down. Our display, we're going to use grid. So I had to actually do a little bit of research and figure out how to do grid here. And we're going to do a pretty cool trick with grid. We're going to have a grid template dash areas. And this is going to be, whoops, that's not what I wanted. I want to do this like this. And then we're going to say that we're going to have 2, and we're going to have 1, and we're going to have 3. Now, this isn't going to work right off the bat because we're going to need some media queries and stuff. So bear with me here. We're going to have dot landing dash top dash left. And on landing top left, we're going to have grid dash area dash, whoops, grid area 1. And then the height is going to be 33 VH. This could be something else. We could do something else, but I just want a some height. If we wanted to, we could set this to a pixel. It's just, we don't want it a percentage because that's going to break some things. Specifically, we want some like hard coded value here, not a percentage. And then we need our dot landing, whoops, dot landing dash top dash right. And our landing top right is going to have a width of 100%. It's going to have a display of flex. is going to have align dash items to center. It's going to have justify content to center. It's going to have a grid area of 2, grid area and 2, and then finally it's going to have a height of 100 VH. So I also want to mention that I think that we're basing this off of a little bit older content on Twitter, and I'll show you what that content is supposed to look like. I guess you already saw it, but first we'll do landing bottom. This will be grid dash area of 3, and then we're going to have a height of fit dash content. So something that you don't see in this image is the way that it resizes. So if we actually take a look at this right now, it's going to look a little bit on the jank side. So you have this top here, we have this here, and then you can't see the bottom right now because it's broken basically. Also, I'm not sure why this is here. This might also be broken. We may need to fix a couple things here and there, but it looks strange right now because this is what it's supposed to look like when it's scaled down. So we actually need some like media queries and things like that for it to work. So let's go ahead and set those up so you have a better idea. So we're gonna have at media, and we're gonna have first a min dash width of 1000 pixels, 1000 px. All right, we're gonna have our landing dash layout, like so, and landing layout will be height of 100%, and we're going to have grid area, grid dash template dash areas, and this one's going to be a little bit different. So now it's going to be 1, 2, and then we're going to, on the bottom, it's going to be 3, 3. So now we're going to have 1 on the left, 2 on the right, and then 3 across the bottom. And this is going to change some things up for us. Then we're going to have dot landing dash top dash left. And landing top left is going to be grid area 1. And colon 1. And then we're going to have a height of 100%. The cool thing about grid is that you can do these custom layouts very easily. I was trying to do this responsive layout with Flex, and it just was not working. Then landing dash top dash right, and landing top right is going to have a grid area of 2 dash area of 2. It's going to have a height of 100%, and it's going to have a justify content of flex start, because if you take a look at this, it starts on the left side, so the flex start, and that is going to be everything for this. And this might actually fix our thing. So you see here, it's still not quite perfect, and we'll fix it, but it's starting to look a little bit better. We'll fix it up whenever we get to the last media query. And now we want to go ahead and do one last media query. At media, we're going to have a min dash width of 1300 pixels. In here, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to have a dot landing layout once again. Landing layout, height will be 100% again. And grid template areas is going to be the same as well. Grid template areas. And I love that. Thank you. And we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 3. And fix that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 3. And we're going to need a couple other things. We're going to need the grid dash template dash columns. And here we're going to say that the one column is going to be 55% of the screen, and the other column is going to be 45% of the screen. And then the grid dash template dash rows is going to be one functional unit, one FR, and then auto. So this is going to be kind of like our full size screen. And then we're going to go ahead and have landing dash top dash left. And this is going to be grid dash area dash 1 or colon 1, my bad. And then this is going to be height of 100%. Hopefully I didn't miss a height somewhere. That's also very possible. And then our dot landing dash top dash right is going to be grid area 2. So grid dash area colon 2. And then we're going to have a height of 100%. And then we are going to have justify content of flex start. So now, fingers crossed, it should be working. There we go. And the reason why we don't have a footer right now is because we haven't put any content in the footer. So as soon as we put some content in the footer, and I can actually show you all this. So we go into landing and we just say content, yo, and save, and we come back in here. Now you'll see we have our fit content on the bottom. And if we take a look at this, you can kind of see how it's working. And then also if we go into inspect, it's going to be kind of responsive here. So as we get bigger, so it's like we're fine. It's going to get smaller. And then once we hit a certain size, it's a little bit scuffed. I should look into why it's scuffed, but now it goes full screen like this. I need to see, it's missing something here. So I might be missing a piece of CSS. I might go ahead and take a look at why that's missing, or I might take a look and figure out what's missing. I think I missed something inside of here, inside the CSS. And yes, so I missed the grid template columns and grid template rows on the top here. And I didn't even finish that. So save this and save, and let's double check this now. So now it's working. We get down to this, it's going to make this guy smaller, and it's going to go full screen. And give me one moment, I'll see if I can find the Wayback Machine where this works, because again, like I said, it's a little bit older. I just want to prove to you guys what I'm trying to do here. So if we take a look at the actual Twitter inspect and go ahead and make it smaller, as you see, as we get down to about 1000, it's like making it smaller, and then it goes full screen. And if we come back to our Twitter, you'll be able to kind of see that it gets smaller after 1300, and it goes full screen. So that's exactly what we're going for, and it's working as expected. So now that we've got this fixed up, we can go ahead and start working on the content on the left and right side. On primarily the right side. Before we do that though, we need to come back into our Finder here, or our Explorer here. Inside of our source folder, we need to make a new file called react-app-env.d.ts, and in here we're going to say /// and we're going to have a reference types, like a type, equal to, and we're going to have react-scripts. And then we're going to go like that and save. And this is going to allow us to pull in images, because this is something that Create React App makes for you, but we didn't use Create React App. Otherwise, TypeScript would be like, hey, I don't recognize this file or whatnot, and it won't let us pull in those images. So we obviously want to have images for that. I'm gonna go ahead and close out of that now. So now what we want to go ahead and do is we are going to want to go ahead and make a new folder inside of our features. So I'm going to go up to our features, make a new folder, and I'm going to go ahead and call this landing. And inside of landing, we're going to go ahead and make a new folder. Go ahead and call this components. And inside of our components, we're going to make one more folder. I'm going to call this right sidebar. Maybe right sidebar. So this is going to be, as you guys could probably guess, the right sidebar of our landing page here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new file. I'm going to call this right sidebar.tsx. And I might as well go ahead and make the CSS file as well. So I'll go ahead and say right sidebar.css, and we can close out this. So we need to go ahead and import React as always. So import React from React. Whoopsies, React. And then we're going to go ahead and want to import that CSS. So we're going to go ahead and import our /right sidebar.css. We're going to import our global CSS. So we need to go all the way out until we get to assets/global.css. And we're also going to import that image. So we're going to say logo blue from, and we're going to say .. all the way till we get to assets again. Assets / we're going to say Twitter logo large blue. So now we've got all of the different things that we need for our right sidebar. We do need to make an interface for the props. So we're going to say interface right sidebar props. And this is going to take in a couple things. So it's going to take in a toggle register. So toggle register, and this is going to be a void method. And then it's also going to take in a toggle login, which is also going to be a void method. So this is going to basically replace those methods that we had on there before. And then we're going to go ahead and say export const, and this will be right, if I could type, sidebar. This is a react.function component, obviously, and this takes in the right sidebar props, like so, equal to, and then we'll pull out that toggle register and toggle login and make our component. This is going to return a div, like so. And let's fix this to just make it look a little bit prettier, and we're on our way. As always, I'm going to go ahead and give this a class name equal to right-side-bar. I typically like to name my outside div the name of the component, and then we have a whole bunch of structure to deal with here. First thing is the top bar. If we take a look at this, the top of the bar has a Twitter logo, then it has some text, and it has a whole bunch of buttons. So the first thing we need, obviously, is that Twitter logo, so img, and we're going to say src is going to be to logo blue, and then our class name will equal to right-side-bar, and we're going to call this logo. All right, and then we're going to have our h1 with the class name equal to right-side-bar, and we're just going to call this h1, and we're going to say happening now, just like Twitter, except this is lowercase. All right, we'll have an h2, the class name equal to, and then this will be right-side-bar. This will be -h2. And we'll say join Twitter today. This one has a period. And then we have our wrappers. So we're going to have a div class name, and this is going to equal to right-side-bar sign up wrapper. So this is kind of like our register bar wrapper, or whatever you want to call it. I called it sign up because that's what it asks you to do. So for the time being, we're just going to have a couple of buttons in here. So we're going to have a button that just says sign up. Sign up with Google. And we're not actually going to implement these because it's outside of what I really feel like doing. We're just trying to build Twitter. We're not going to do some integration with Google and Apple, but this one also says sign up with Apple. And then we're going to have a div. And this one's kind of silly. This one like has a line. So this can be a class name equal to right-side-bar divider. And the divider is going to have a div with a class name equal to, and this is going to be right-side-bar line. And this is really silly, but we're going to have a P here, a class name equal to right-side-bar or, and this is just going to say or right here, and we're going to have one more div for the class name equal to right-side-bar line. And what we're doing here is that we're doing this. It's very faint on this, but there's a line here. There's a word or, and then a line here. That's what we're setting up at this point. And from here, we'll have another button with an on click. And this is going to be toggle register. And this button is just going to say create account, like so. We're going to make custom buttons for these. That's why they're not having classes. P, well, the class name equal to right-side-bar legal. And then this is going to have a color of gray. And we have a whole bunch of stuff to write here. So I'm going to say by signing up, you agree to the, we're going to have a span with a class name equal to, whoops, class name, if I could type, equal to, and I think that we put this into global CSS. So I'm just going to say link and then color -blue. And then we're also going to go ahead and say view and word wrap. I wish it was global, but what can you do? So you agree to the terms of service. And we need to go ahead and close that span. Did I span? Oh, I missed. Perfect. Let me go ahead and fix this. Terms of service should go inside that span. Okay. And then, and we'll have another span with a class name equal to link in color blue. And this is going to say the privacy policy. Okay, then we're gonna have a comma, and this is say including. We'll have another span with a class name equal to link in color blue, and this is going to be cookie use. So that is the legal. And finally, we'll have one more div. One more div with a class name equal to right dash side dash bar dash login wrapper. So this is going to be for logging in, obviously. And here we're going to have an h3 with a class name equal to right dash side dash bar dash h3. Here it's going to say already have an account question mark. And then we'll go ahead and have another button that just says sign in. Right now, there's not going to be anything spectacular here. It's actually probably going to look pretty bad. And let me go ahead and leave this. And, oh, it's because we haven't added it yet, obviously. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed, please stick around for the next episode by hitting that subscribe button. You'll know exactly when it comes out, especially with that bell icon. If you did enjoy the content today, please sure to leave a thumbs up. If you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs down. Either way, it helps out with the algorithm all the same. And finally, if you have any suggestions or feedback for me, make sure you leave a comment down below. With that being said, I appreciate you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace out, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.